Hey team, welcome back to another incredible episode of the Intentional Agribusiness Leader podcast. This is your host, Mark Jewell, and today I'm joined by my new friend, Jay Doan. Jay, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Man, I'm super excited to get into this, as I often am when I do these, but I'm really excited for this today because, again, we're continuing our streak here in 2026 of really unique interviews. This is going to be no exception. Jay is with the Black Leg Ranch up in North Dakota. Came by recognition or recommendation, rather, from my friend Teresa Krause. So shout out to Teresa down there in Minneapolis. Jay, you get the same opening question everybody gets. What does it mean for you to be intentional?
Well, thanks, Mark, for having me, Teresa. I appreciate it as well. For me, well, for anybody, I think it's being present, but I guess going further, being genuinely pointed with an end goal in mind, and to be open and honest about that. And with yourself, I think that's so important. A lot of times, when you're intentional, it could be good or bad, but giving it true thought, and again, having that kind of genuine conversation with yourself, being open and honest, and specifically pointed with that end goal in mind. So take it for what it is, but to me, that's how I see it.
Good stuff, man. Well, I want people to learn a little bit more about your guys' operation here. Just reading through the bio, you've got a fifth generation ranch, which is nothing to shake a stick at. I mean, going back to 1882, man, which is cool. I mean, I think that's so many people dream about it. People watch TV shows about this kind of stuff. Maybe it was written about you guys. I don't know. Here's a ranch that evolved from traditional cattle farming into a dynamic value-added agricultural enterprise. Today, these guys have a hunting outfit, an international agritourism operation, a wedding and events venue, craft brewery, and now going into commercial meats. So, Jay, I don't even know where to start with all this, but just give us a little backdrop. What's a day in the life of Jay Doan look like?
We're a little crazy. Most people that know us or don't know us, they think we're a little nuts. We do come from traditional farming and ranching. Black Leg Ranch. Black Leg in itself is nuts. Most people don't know what black leg is. It is actually a pretty nasty cattle disease. Now, we didn't have an outbreak on our ranch. That's not why we named the ranch Black Leg. It was predominantly Hereford country, red cattle everywhere. We were one of the first to have black cattle in our region. People hated our black cattle, and they were wild cattle. And so before my time, people would call up on the party lines back in the day saying these beeping black-legged SOBs are out again. They must be Doan's cattle. Doan is my last name. And so my great-grandfather, when we legally had to name the ranch, he said, you know what? Everybody knows this is Black-Legged Ranch. I'm just going to name it that. And my dad always hated that name. And he always wanted to change it, but now it's bigger than all of us in our opinion. And so Black Leg stuck. And so now we have these offshoots, these complementary stacked enterprises, Black Leg Brewery, Black Leg Ranch Meats, and we're constantly developing. But yes, there's a bunch of stacked enterprises. So we still have our cattle, our Black Angus and cow-calf operation. We have our bison herd as well. And so we are in the regenerative field. We're in the grass business, propagating the wildlife and the soil health and the biodiversity. That's what we're about on our land. How can we better the land? And then on top of it, we run a hunting outfit, which we're able then to, which is an extremely busy time for us into the fall.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So we can winter graze. We plant a 26 variety cover crop for our winter grazing, but we can hunt that as well, and it propagates the wildlife. It's a wildlife utopia. And then we make beer. So we have a craft brewery, but we're more, sessionable beer. We're not that downtown hipster style brewery at all, because breweries on our ranch, Who the
Right.
hell has a brewery on a ranch? That's a little nuts in itself. But we do. We make beer, and sometimes with some of those family conflicts, it
Right.
might help to have one or two of those consumables. And then the direct sale marketing of our proteins, the beef and the bison.
Hmm.
There's been some challenges with that, COVID, post
Hmm.
COVID, all that, and so we're dealing with a lot of that to date.
You bet. That's cool. We could spend the whole show just unpacking all of that and where all that stuff goes. Let's just start with the consumables because I know that's a big interest to a lot of folks that listen to this. We've recently had several people from the meat side of the industry on the show. So just talk to me a little bit about where if I want to get some. where, where where do I find it? In restaurants? Are we going through retail? Are people going direct to
Are you talking to
consumer?
us
Like,
specifically,
yeah,
or
yeah,
just
yeah,
yeah? You know, I got to be careful with this because we dove in right after COVID or maybe during COVID. My younger brother and his wife really took this on at my parents' direction and lead. But it has been so restaurants want it, yes.
yeah.
Trying to supply it is a challenge. Federal inspections are
Hmm.
a huge challenge. Just finding slots. To get your animal processed is a challenge. And so we've lost a lot of processors in North Dakota. So that continues to be a challenge. But e-commerce has been great. But we've actually pulled back a little bit as beef prices have gone, through the roof. It has not been economically advantageous for us to go through all the challenges of inspections and processing and deliveries and packaging and you name it. Um, so the supply chain issues really come into play. And if you can get that same price, just take them to the sales barn or whatever. Now, granted, we do have a following of buyers, wanting our brand, and so that's helped as well. So to answer your question, yeah, you can still find it out there. We
Yeah, it's
do
a
work
lot.
with certain retailers and e-commerce, but we are pulling back a little bit
Sure.
on.
All right, Jay, tell me, I want to talk a little bit about being in a multi-generational operation. I know a lot of people kind of dream about this, right? Passing the farm down, passing the ranch down from generation to generation. Unfortunately, I think we know that that's not necessarily the thing that always happens for one reason or another. Um, we think about passing businesses down from one generation to the next. The likelihood of that happening is incredibly small, and but if we just look at it statistically, but you guys have been successful. There's got to be some intentional leadership in there. If you could break that down for us, that'd be great.
Yes, define success, I guess, and at what cost does that success come?
Hmm.
Now, granted, we are extremely spoiled. Everybody, in my opinion, is spoiled in this generation today that we're living. Granted, I get it. We have all these different conflicts throughout, but it is nothing 100 years ago what these guys had went through. So to keep it together, I'm actually the 13th generation in this country. We came over in 1629 from England, and so
Hmm.
there's a whole story that I can talk to you about just on my past family members of being outlaws and spies for the British. And anyhow, that's a different story. 13
Wow.
generations, but yes, I'm the fifth generation. We have the sixth generation on the ranch as well, and that's great. It's okay. We're the fifth and sixth. My dad's the fourth. And really, the ranch has doubled in size with his leadership. And he has three boys that have come back to the operation. When he goes around and speaks throughout the country, there's so many different people that come up and said, "Jesus, how did you get three of your boys to come back when I can't even get one that wants to come back to our
Hmm.
operation?" And a lot of times that's either the culture, it's how you ran the operation. And no offense whatsoever to these folks. But the younger generation, it's instant gratification. All right. We have technology that they're just swiping. Okay. I want to order
Hmm.
something. I want it at my door now, like right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so same thing with farming and ranching. It's hard work. It is extremely hard work. It doesn't, I shouldn't say it doesn't have to be, but you can at least be a little bit more efficient and on all levels in your health well-being, whether it's, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, nutritionally. There's so much that goes into it that most people, I think, have just, well, it's just, let's grow monoculture, corn and soybeans. 40 years ago, we were diverse. Most operations were diverse. They had 6 or 7 crops plus, livestock, and now it's just you are monoculture. And so, from a diversity, putting all your eggs in one basket, it is a challenge. And so, the younger generation doesn't really see that. They don't see the benefit. They're saying, man, my parents were living in the red, and they struggled. I don't want to live that way. I want to, right out of high school or college, I just want to go make $100,000, which, is still a lot of money, but to the younger generation, I mean, they see these influencers, guys that run these podcasts that are making money hand over fist. It's wild. So I wouldn't say, yes, it is great to have that legacy. There's a weight that goes with it, a lot of stress that goes with it, because you don't want to be that generation to screw it up, but it's not everything.
Yeah.
So don't let it run your operation, run your current life. Just saying, all right, I need to keep this together. Let's be smart about it. Let's be genuinely pointed in our decisions, and truly take a step back and have that honest conversation. Be open. That's one of the biggest conflicts or struggles, especially in family operations in any business, is the communication aspect. So having that open conversation, I think, is so important.
Yeah. I agree, right? And that where I've seen some of the most successful next generation of young people, whether it was friends that I grew up with who came from farms and had really good parents who were very intentional about teaching them the business end of things, and the business end of the farm, and how decisions were made and why we made decisions that specific way. Whether they stayed with the farm or not, they were better off.
Yeah.
Right? There was some intentionality behind what they were doing. They were slowing down and thinking through it. And, so much, Jay, of what I see in really everywhere. This is not an ag specific thing. But as an industry, we do grind pretty hard. Okay. And think that's necessary to a point. Right. And the vast majority of people who work in this industry don't get to do what you do, right? I mean, they're the guys that are delivering your seed. They're the guys and gals that are out there, making agronomic recommendations. They're the ones who are out there, being consultants, nutrition consultants, and, selling feed and other inputs, right? And that's the majority of the people that I get to see that I work with. And the constant stress is like, when we run events, we always ask people this question. Hey, you're here with us for a couple of days. Since you're here, and maybe you didn't want to be here, maybe your employer sent you, but since you're here, like, what makes this a worthy investment of your time? And the top 3 from every audience for 13 years now, Jay, is stress management, time management, work-life balance. That's what everybody wants more of. And so one of the things that I think we romanticize a little bit is the idea of having, I don't know, a diversified farm where we can raise a lot of our own food and be involved in agriculture and kind of get back to that lifestyle a little bit. Obviously, I mean, we see plenty of people wanting to go back to homesteading, and I laugh a little bit because I'm like, we were homesteading before it was cool, man. Like, that's how I grew up. Like, we grew our own food. We canned everything. Mom canned everything. We froze, fruits and vegetables and all kinds of stuff, and meat. And I mean, we'd kill deer, whether it was legal or not, just to have meat in the freezer. That's how we fed ourselves growing up. And I'm thinking, like, these people are making mint on social media. They're not making any money for what they're growing. They're only showing the highlights. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox a little bit. Do you think that will ag sort of gratify back to a more diversified regenerative stance, as a whole, given where things are going? Do we stay stuck in this monoculture lifestyle? Like, what are your thoughts?
It has to. It absolutely has to. And I think the only way it's going to change or revert back to a diversified um, uh, culture is the consumer has to demand it. And I think it's about to happen. It already has been happening, this homesteading
Mm-hmm.
mentality. We're a sick society. We really are.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about nutrition. We've been completely deceived, whether it's corporately deceived, government deceived, in my opinion. And I'm not, being this wacko. Just look at, um, we are a sick, kind of obese society. We're the only society really that is overeating ourselves to death. I mean, we're just a sick society. So having more clean food, I think, will dictate how farmers and ranchers run their operation, because right now it's just, hey, we need to, it's always that tagline, we feed the world, and I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
But let's do it in a healthier, more equally friendly environment. Because what, like, we just don't, and I did a TED talk on this. I mean, we're growing food at astronomical rates, and animals at astronomical rates. Let's just get them bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, they don't necessarily have to get bigger. Let's make sure that it's calorically dense.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have the best high
Yeah.
quality. And we always rant and rave about how the U.S. provides the best food, and for the majority that may be correct. But we're growing them at astronomical rates, and we just need to slow down and say, okay, how do you feel? Look in the mirror, for God's sakes, and just say, do I feel good today?
Yeah.
Or whatever you're consuming, let's honor that food. And for the next week, that's going to be nourishing our bodies instead of the quick fix. Let's run through whatever drive through you're going through just to get it down because you think you have to. Uh, it's not and again, do whatever you want. We're in a free country. Eat dirt for all I care. I don't care. As long as we're aware and not corporately or government deceived. That's my whole thing. And I've been saying it for a couple of years now, and I'm actually quite impressed with what's happening with RFK. I've always said, let's turn that food pyramid that I grew up on,
Right.
let's flip it on its head. And I
Yeah.
cannot believe it just came out. Not that the
Yeah.
higher
I was
powers
just going
be.
to ask you if you were aligned, and at
Yes,
all impressed with the work, that's happening there. And I mean, I hate the cynicism that comes out of all this, but we have every right to be cynical because we've been let down by our government time and time again,
yes,
right? So it's fair, and this is one thing where I think you just have to take a step back and look at the results, right? We can all have opinions about how we get to a certain place. But at the end of the day, the one thing that we can't hide from are the results.
yeah,
Okay. And so, we had a guy on the show a few weeks ago, Jace, out of he's down in Kansas with Legacy Farmer. What he does, he has a consulting company where they actually get in with farmers and help them get a hold of their numbers.
yeah,
Right? Because like 95% of America's farmers don't know their numbers. They don't know
right,
whether they're profitable, not profitable, how to be profitable. They literally just don't know. And maybe to no fault of their own, there's just plenty of opportunity to continue taking on debt, right? And continue to go to that way. I mean, there's certainly a fault somebody's signing the loan documents, but the part he said that scared me was that America's farmers carry $600 billion in debt, right?
right.
And
And look,
at the same point, we're sitting here pointing fingers at all the student loan issues, which is an equally stupid amount of debt, twice the amount, right?
yeah,
But it's kind of like what did Jesus say in the Sermon on the Mount? Like, if why are you concerned with the splinter in your brother's eye when you've got a plank in your own? You know,
and I wouldn't be afraid of the debt if it's good debt, if you know how to leverage that debt. So debt doesn't scare me one bit. It's just, how
mm-hmm.
are you now controlling that debt for the benefit?
Yeah,
It's, I don't know. A lot of times people talk about debt and they're just like, geez, I can't get out of it.
yeah,
But again, whatever Jace is doing,
Mhm.
legacy farmer. I mean, you do need to, and I've said this too, run your operation like a business
Mhm.
first, lifestyle second, because without that business, you're not going to have your lifestyle that you so appreciate anyhow. So, and you are going to be forced to change. So why don't you have the self-discipline up front, the buy-in to say, all right, something needs to change, and I'm going to do it for myself and my family when I
Mhm.
have the chance to do it and make all the decisions. So either partnering with what Jace is doing up front, getting your numbers down, getting your structure down, which is a tough conversation to have. But that's
Mhm.
first and foremost, and having that honest conversation then versus a death happens, something happens, a business goes awry, and all of a sudden you're like, I can't make the payments. I am so SOL right now that now I'm forced. You never want to have that where the bank is
Yeah.
coming in, government's coming in, and saying, all right, you have X amount of days, make a decision. So let's get ahead of this up front. And, one thing, when we went through, I think every family, because a lot of I was in corporate America. I worked for a Fortune 100 company. I absolutely love the opportunity. But you and
Mhm.
I, we talked about this. You fly into a city, somebody's speaking at you. You're staying at this hotel. It's the same food, the same setup, uh, and somebody's speaking at you. And I'm like, man, get somebody out of their comfort zone. And that's our sales pitch. Get them out to the land, out to the country, out to
Mhm.
God's country. And luckily we have the setup, we have the assets and all that, but that's always our sales pitch. Let's bring you out to the ranch and show you what it's all about. Now you have people that are engaged, that are consuming so much more and retaining this information,
Yep.
and then able to take it back to their home or to their place of business. So I just got off topic and I forgot about what we were talking
No,
about.
no, it's all good and it's all related. I want to tie it back to this though, really quick, Jay. So, um, first of all, when did you guys make the conscious, intentional decision to go regenerative? Was there any specific? Have you just always been that way, and we're kind of now
No,
on it, or did you make a conscious choice to move a more regenerative direction?
yeah, I give my dad full credit on this, but we almost lost the ranch back in the 80s, early 90s. You went through a 10-year drought, high interest rates, and he always talks about the half a dozen operations that were absolutely immaculate, had all the brand new equipment parked out front that everybody looked up to. Not one of them made it through that time period. And so that's the struggle, and that's the reality of it. Be very careful, especially when you're in this industry of agriculture. So pre 2000, I mean, he was in my older brother was always the anointed one. He's the older brother. He's coming back to the operation. He came back. He went, he had an animal science degree, and business minor from North Dakota State. He regrets that. He said he didn't learn one damn thing in college. So it was everything he learned was on the ranch, on the operation,
Yeah.
and one thing he always talks about is, getting away from the operation. I say this as well. Get outside your comfort zone, leave your home state, go take an internship somewhere, go to college if you want to take that route, but go
Yeah.
take an internship somewhere, go shadow somebody that's completely unrelated, hopefully unrelated even to agriculture, just shadow somebody, some company. And maybe, yes, if it does have a tie in, great. Um, but he was the one coming back always. And so I went off. My younger brother, he's 10 years younger than I. He wasn't even a twinkle in my dad's eye yet. So he wasn't even a thought to come back.
Yep.
But we all kind of all went off, and then we ended up coming back now. So regeneratively, to answer your question, yes, it was pre 2000. My dad had already started cover cropping, intensive grazing.
Hmm.
So he started looking at soil health. He went through, Alan Savory's, holistic management. Alan Savory's been to our operation as well, which is, we always think that we're doing like the best. well, Alan ripped us apart. Holy cow. He's like, you're not doing it fast enough. You need to be doing this, this, and this. And, that's a pride
Nice.
thing to us.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Very cool. So there was a conscious choice, a conscious decision that was made around wanting to do that and implement those practices. What was that moment for your dad? Like, what was it? Was it about longevity? Was it about like keeping it around? Was it like cost up? It was more cost effective. Like, what was the thing that drove him down that?
And he would speak to this. Um, I think it's when he tells a story when he either woke up one day and here we are calving in February,
Yep.
middle of a blizzard, and it's not fun anymore. He's like, what are we doing? Like, you don't enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and that whole gravity of being in debt and the stress and being able to provide for a family, I mean, that just stacks on top of it. And so when we talk about the health, well-being, the head of the household, I mean, that's got to be first and foremost to make sure that you are sound and that you can swallow your pride enough to say, you know what, let's talk about this. Communication is one of the hardest things in agriculture, especially again in a family business. And so to be able to just sit back and say, you know what, I'm struggling. I'm honestly struggling.
Mm.
And I want to talk about it. But on the other side, you have to be receptive. Oh, that's what I was going to point out. Every business, when I was in corporate America, you should go through a personality profile training. In families, I think you need
Yeah.
to just identify every personality is different. And so this gets me back to, okay, somebody who has always been hard uh, growing up, because my grandpa, I mean, that was one thing. Yeah, you touched him one time a year, and that was you gave him a hug and Christmas. He's a hard man, and he passed away on the ranch, and a lot of information, a lot of history, a lot of all that died with him, which is unfortunate. That communication barrier is such a I wish we wrote things down. And one piece of advice I could give is if your parents are still around, talk to them, write it down, so you can remember that, and they'll appreciate that as
Mhm.
well. And maybe you can get them to start to open up just a little bit.
Yep.
What did they go through? The good times, the bad times, and then maybe that's the start of okay. We talked about you, and genuinely, I'm invested and I care. Now let's talk about, what I want as a young generation, maybe getting into that. If I'm going to take over that operation or that business, to just be present and be involved.
Mhm.
Communication, that was key.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
struggle with that. We are piss poor. That is one of the hardest things to do. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's my one of my hopes in the world that we're moving into is we have such good tools to be able to sit down and do those things,
yeah.
you know, and it's like be intentional with your thoughts and your things, and like you can sit down and I've been thinking about doing this with my mom who's 80 something this year, 82 this year I think she'll be, and it's like I want to sit down and just like ask her these questions and record those, and then have that saved in a spot. And it's so easy to do. I mean, it's not hard. Like, you and I've been sitting here doing it for an hour. Um,
Right.
like I could just do that with my mom. My daughter gave me this book. It's called Your Father's Story. I don't know if she picked it up at some bookstop, but it's got a bunch of questions in it,
I got the
and
same thing. Yeah.
I've been like,
For
so
my
she
dad.
turns, yeah, she turns 18 here in like, I don't know,
Good for her.
20 days or something like that. And so not even 20 days. So I've been trying to get it done. I don't know if I'm gonna make the 18th birthday, but maybe we'll make it for graduation,
Good
and
for
give it to
you.
her. At that point, like really making a point to sit down and actually do it. That's been for me being at the center of this conversation about intentional leadership has obviously pointed out areas where I'm not. Kind of
Yeah.
like you bring your consultant out to your farm thinking you're the best regenerative farmer there is, and the consultant comes out and points out the places you get to improve. Right? It's the same way for me, except I'm living through it every day, and so that became a very intentional choice. But more of them like that, and I think that's a key that we can take out of our conversation today, Jay, especially as it pertains to maintaining productivity and peace amongst the generations working through an operation like yours.
Well, it's easy to talk to a stranger. I mean, it's it.
Yeah, that's isn't that true?
You can blow
Yeah.
smoke. You can, I mean, they don't know you, and so, but it's easy also to get into the weeds because, and
Yeah.
that's why therapists or, they make so much
Right.
money or, you name it. It
Yeah.
is, and this is where I would challenge even myself, just to have the self discipline, get out of your comfort zone, be
Yep.
vulnerable. I just did for the first time a 72-hour fast,
Oh, wow. Good for you.
which was a challenge. It was hard. I'm not gonna lie. It was a
Mhm.
challenge, but I mean, I've done intermittent fasting in the past. We've gotten so spoiled, and I go back to nutrition just because I do feel we're a sick society, and people don't want to hear it. Christ, I was just uh, I was watching an episode of the Shark Tank, and it's called Pluck. It was all organ meat, seasoning on top of it. And I reached out to him afterwards because they lit this guy up. He's a chef. Um, I forget where he's from, and they just didn't understand it. They said, "We don't get it. We don't want to invest in it. You're," and they lit his personality up, and he's like, "I'm just so passionate about people's health. You guys don't
Yeah.
get it." And so I had to reach out to him because I'm like, keep on it. You did the right thing. You believe in what you're doing. It is healthy. Um, but you got to be self disciplined. And that's what I'm getting back to. So if you
Yeah.
can put yourself through a little bit, you're talking about your son, Mark, about your hike, the
Yeah.
hiking adventure that, you can only do it so far. You're going to take him a little ways. He's got to finish it himself.
Yeah.
What a tremendous lesson that you're providing. You can't, and that's the thing. When you're passing down an operation or wealth, yes, you want the younger generation to have it better than you did. You're talking about the father saying,
Hmm.
yes, that's the one person or one of few that want you to have a better life than they do. Otherwise, most people are like, it's the grind. It's people are so damn selfish these days. It's all about themselves. They love to hear themselves talk. They love to gloat. It's just peacocking. We talked about that before the call. Peacocking.
Yep.
It's if you can be vulnerable and just swallow that pride a little bit. And the one person that has truly helped me, my wife's from Arizona,
Oh, yeah.
who wears her emotions on her sleeve. She loves to talk things out. Women are very good at that, but her family is one to teach me how to, okay, don't walk away, and that's what we're good in agriculture. I get pissed off. We're sorting cattle and had a few choice words back and forth because everything goes the way it should be. And when you're working cattle, and then you leave and you don't talk to that person for 3 days,
Yeah.
she's not like that. And that
Yeah.
has taught me a lot just to have the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it sounds like we both have landed upon good women that are helpful in that department. Because I'm like you. Like when I grew up, my dad was just like he would just not talk for 3 days when he'd get mad about something,
Uh-huh.
and I vowed never to do that. But I'll get mad and then still talk, but I'm not nice because
Yep.
I still haven't gotten over it. And the only way through is to talk through it, quite
Yep.
frankly. But you don't want to. You must be doing something right though. You got a woman to move and follow you from Arizona to North Dakota, Jay. So it usually goes the other way around.
Right? I don't know how. I always say there's got to be something wrong with her, but welcome to North Dakota. It's beautiful. It's staying near 50 degrees outside in the middle of January.
Yeah.
Uh, that is wild.
Yeah.
No, glad to have her. She's talk about a culture shock. Coming up to the west, coming from the south. That is a huge culture shock, but she's adapted well. And we got
Yeah.
two lovely kids. So
Beautiful. Congratulations to you guys.
thank you.
Jay, this has been a fun conversation. I really appreciate you being on the show. Wish we had more time, but I'm out of it. So, where do we go to find out more about Black Leg Ranch? You guys, I know you do some speaking. You're out there on the circuit a little bit, spreading the word. So, where do we find out?
Yeah, well, if you're in the United Kingdom, feel free to tune in to Channel 5 on their Paramount Plus platform. We did film a TV series on our ranch.
Okay.
You don't even know about this, Mark.
Okay. Wow.
Well, yeah. So anyhow, 4 episode series. It's all process driven, ranch life, brewery life, events. Everything that we do. It follows myself, my two brothers, and my dad as well. And so, pretty interesting. Hasn't made it to the United States yet, so we'll see if it ever comes over this way. Obviously, blacklegranch.com. Any of our socials. or any of our handles out there, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, not Twitter. Anyhow, yeah.
Out there on X and everything now.
Right.
Yep. Good stuff, man. All right. Well, thanks for being on, Jay, and we'll certainly be in touch. I love the idea of creating a program up there on the ranch, getting people out there, getting guys off the grid to learn a little bit more manhood. I think it'll be a good spot for it.
Heck yeah. Thanks, Mark.